So I felt like doing this because I still makes my mind just, I don't get it. It's 2018. You know, we have all this information, and I'm getting into these debates with people that say, oh, Esau's the white man. And to me, maybe I'm just reading it wrong. So let me show you where I'm getting it from, right? Deuteronomy 23:7. Thou shalt not abhor the Edomite, because he is thy brother, nor the Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. There you go. Genesis 25, 24, 26, and 30. It says here, 20. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travails that have befallen us. Obadiah 1:10-12. For thou violence against thy brother Jacob, a shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. And the Pharaoh said unto Joseph, say unto thy brethren, this do ye, lay your breast, go and get into the land of Canaan, his sons and his sons' sons, with him his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all the seed brought with him into Egypt. So the Obadiah verse, I look at it this is the creator, right? Because what it says, vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord. So the punishment upon Edom and Esau, right, is done via the creator. He's the one that enacts the judgment. Unless he gives us orders, that it's not for us to enact the judgment, because he told us back there in Deuteronomy that this is your brother. And what I'm looking at is a twin. I'm not looking at, because I really don't get that whole idea that one son came out looking like us, the other one came out looking like a European. I just don't, like, show me the births, the legitimate births in history where a Aboriginal woman can give birth to an Aboriginal son and a European child. Not an albino, because that albino will still have the nose, will still have the woolly hair, will still have the thick lips. Okay? That's not the same as a European. With the hair that's not woolly, the lips that are the complete opposite, the nose that's opposite. You know the difference. You know the difference. You wouldn't confuse Adolf Hitler for Mandela. And that's where I don't get it. I don't get the mindset where it's like, oh, wait, well, one woman gave birth to those two different looking people, and these are your... No. Because it also reminds me of Deuteronomy 28 with the black on black crime. I mean, this is where to me it stems from. It answers, because we're taught we're all the same because we went through the same thing. But what I believe is that all the nations who we resemble were rounded up and were punished all at the same time. They all fell. Except for, what's that nation over there? The people calling themselves the Ethiopians, that one. But we know that the Ethiopian, that they're part of the whole apartheid. What was that one brother said? Apartheid didn't come to Africa until, what's his name over there, Haile Selassie and all that stuff, bringing Christianity. And then the stranger. You know what I think about when I read that? I think about the quote from when we read about Christopher Columbus, when he met with the Indians. I believe it was in Cuba, right? And because Cuba's what, New Espanol. But he meets with them, and he talked about how the people were so giving, they were so happy that anything you asked, they would have given it to you, anything. Because that's what that reminds me of. It's like, hey, we were willing, we were giving. I mean, we had obviously bad apples within it, but that's what that reminds me of. That, I don't know why, but that attitude of, let's take care of others if we could. And now we've been taught to be completely opposite. It's look out for the number one on the block, and that's it. You're all just you're all just steps on a rung while I'm trying to climb to the top. I'm not helping you up because nobody helped me up. You know what I mean? And if I do try to help you up, I'm looking for a way to take advantage of you the whole way. But in a weird way, like I said, that's what that reminds me of when I read that verse. It's just the generosity that Christopher Columbus was shot by. Like, he had that European mindset already of, hey, I'm sitting here with these letters to take, and here you guys are just, here, look, you need this, take this. If you need this, here, let me give you this. And it was kind of like he was just stunned, like, yo, I'm supposed to be violent towards these people? Let me see here. I want to show you another verse. Let there be equal judgment among you, whether he be a stranger or a native that offends, because I am the Lord your God. And what was the other one? I don't think that was the one I wanted. Was it 22 and 22? Nah, that's about offerings. I think it's a different one I wanted to do. I wanted to do one on sin offerings, because when you break it down, we've been taught something completely off about the whole sin and sin offerings. It's not what we were. It's not. Oh, this is what I found. Look, check this out. So we have Joshua, from the book of Joshua, the one that was next to deliver us from the times of Moses. So we know about this one, right? We know about him and so on and so forth. But check this out. You're gonna love this. So I'm reading. Let's see. Did I miss it? I'm reading Zechariah. I think I might have. Yeah. Oh man, this stinks. Sorry about this. It was in Zechariah. Oh, I found out 2 Chronicles is actually the last book of the Old Testament. Not Malachi, but they don't want to put that as the last book of the Old Testament, because it talks about, like, the end of, was it the king that was ruling over the Israelites tells them the Israelites to leave, go home, rebuild yourself a temple, and all these other things. Instead, Malachi sets up in a way where it's like, okay, well, the end of that, now Now you're waiting on the Messiah, or a Messiah, right? But they don't want that to end that way. Zechariah, you got to check this out. Let me see. There's a Joshua here, but let me see if they actually change it. Look at this. Look at this. And the Lord shown me Jesus, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan stood on his right hand to. I could not believe this. I'm reading through here because I read from this translation, which I should know better. It's the Catholic translation. I only found it out because I work at a Catholic school, and I could not believe that. It blew my mind that they tried to go through here and put Jesus in the Old Testament. I mean, it's not the right one because they actually tell you who the father of this Jesus is. 6. See, but that really just I was heated. I mean, I'm calmer now, but I'm just looking at it. It's making me upset. So I don't want to go off on the tirade I was doing. So let me get out of that. But I was just saying, I just found that. Oh man, that's the stuff that gets, it's just, no. But, thought that was interesting. I don't know why, I just seeing Jesus, them putting Jesus in the Old Testament. There was a verse though about, the headpiece that was supposed to go on. I'm not gonna be able to find it. There was a headpiece that was supposed to go on about his head. No, I'm not gonna. I did this already, man. I cannot believe that. Let me see here. 3 and 5. Oh, and he said, put a clean mitre upon his head. And they put a clean mitre upon his head and clothed him with garments. And the angel of the Lord stood. Now, this I thought was interesting because I'm trying to find out what this is. It says mitre, a tall headdress worn by the bishops. So right now I'm trying to find out what in Hebrew this would look like, because they gave us all kinds of stuff. Go back to Bible Hub and you'll even see them try to replace it in other translations as a turban. But it says a chiefly British mitre. Right here. See that? Variations. Let's see if we can open up. It's a mitre. So what I took from it though, I know this much was, the head. Eventually, yeah, I don't know how to put it into words, but, I know it's not the turban, because that's not what the Greek Septuagint or this version said, but I still thought it was interesting that here it is. Something went upon his head when he was clothed properly, upon the high priest. So